بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا وقدوتنا محمد عليه أفضل الصلاة وأزكى التسليم اللهم علمنا بما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما يا رب العالمين. Okay, very good. So today is a brand new day, alhamdulillah. Here in Central New York, we've got fresh snow on the ground, and we will be proceeding on to a new, fun, and exciting grammar concept. But first, what I want to do is I want to go to our homework and just have everybody read off the very last exercise that we left off from before moving on to something new. So I will go down the list here for those who are able to participate. I know some people said they're at work and they can't use the microphone. So I guess I'll jump in since we have only a few students today. Alhamdulillah, bil barakah, inshallah. So what you're going to do is we're going to read through all of these, and we're doing a balancing act, right? We have now an additional thing to keep in mind or to keep track of. The first being, okay, how are we going to pronounce the lam? Are we going to be pronouncing it as a lam, or is it going to be assimilated into the following letter due to its proximity of where it is pronounced? Then we have to account for the ending of the word. All of these cases, it's going to have a dhamma. But also notice that they've taken away most of the harakats, most of your small vowels, your diacritical marks. And so it's going to rely on your knowledge of the vocabulary, which I hope you've been trying to keep up with. I know it is a lot. If anybody is ever in need of strategies for reviewing vocab, please ask me or some of the other students. We can have a conversation about that. Because as you can tell already, the more you kind of put off the vocab, it's only going to keep on accumulating. And with language, it can get discouraging when we reach a point where we feel like there's too much. So we'll do, I guess, how about we do it in threes? Yes, in need. Okay, Naeem, noted. We will talk about strategies for review. Okay, I'm going to do the first three, and we'll do three at a time, inshallah. So we have al-baytu, ad-diku, al-mudarrisu. And then can we have Masarrat? Can you please do the next three?
Al-babu, al-talibu, as-sukkaru.
Excellent, very good. Someone from the Shahada family, could you do the next three?
Al-daftaru, al-akhu, al-rasulu.
Excellent, very good. And I'm sorry, I should have been saying the meanings along with them. So we have al-bayt, which means the house, ad-dik, which means the rooster, al-mudarris, the teacher, al-bab, the door, al-talib, the student, as-sukkar, the sugar, ad-daftar, ad-daftaru, which was the notebook, al-akhu, the brother, and al-rasulu, the messenger. Very good. Someone else from the Shahada family, could you do the next three, first in Arabic and then tell us the English?
Al-wajhu, the face. Oh, I think we skipped al-rasulu, the prophet.
Al-wajh is the first one. Go ahead.
Wajh is the face. Sadiqu, the friend, companion, I believe it is. Al-Quran, the Quran.
Very good. Excellent work. Ad-daftaru, for review, is the notebook. Sorry, the notebook. Sorry if that was unclear from before. Ad-daftar up here is the notebook. someone asked. Excellent work. Okay. Moving on to the Sayyid family. Could one of you do the next three?
الصلاة الكم الكعبة.
Two. Yeah.
Yeah, Kaaba, sorry.
Good. It's interesting to see a word that we're used to just saying, right? And not knowing how it's written. Now we see how it's written, so it's kind of like it's a little bit foreign. Oh, good job.
And then al rasu. I don't know.
Yes, al-ratsu. What is the meaning of al-ratsu?
I don't know the meaning.
It's your noggin. It's your head. Good job. And al-salah and al-Kaaba, those are obvious. Al-salah being the prayer, al-Kaaba being the Kaaba.
Brain.
And it is, yes, as-salatu. Yes, that's one of the ones. So listen to how we merge the lam into the sad, as-salatu, and how we don't merge it into the kaf. So al-ka'batu, and how the one with the ra, al-ratsu, gets merged. Very good. Someone else from the Sayyid family? Next three.
الإصبع
Good.
الصابون الضفر.
Good. Only thing I'll correct is your tafkhim on as-sabun instead of sabun. Sabun, which means, what do they mean, these three?
The middle one is soap.
Yes, good.
الإصبع. Don't remember.
That is a digit, finger, either a finger or a toe.
And al-dhufr is, don't remember either.
The fingernail.
Oh, fingernail.
So you have those come together. Isba wa al-dhufru. So we have finger and the fingernail. Very good. I know it's a lot of vocab. It's going to take some time to get used to it, inshallah, but everybody's doing a great job. Which one is that, Sister Masarrat? Is dhufru, al-thar, what's the ayah? I know al-dhufr is in the hadith, taqlim al-adfar, right? When the Prophet ﷺ is talking about the things not to do during Hajj, one of them is taqlim al-adfar, right? So this is removing your fingernails or clipping your fingernails. I want to say that you're right with Surah Al-Ma'idah, but I can't recall the verse at the moment. So if someone comes up with it, inshallah, I'll get back to it. Good. And then the rest of them, probably not necessary, are the names of the prayer times. Again, one of these words that you've seen, you've heard, you've been saying maybe all of your life. Now you get to see it and read it. Al-Fajru, Al-Dhuhru, Al-Asru, Al-Maghribu, Al-Isha'u. Right? And notice again, the main point of what we're doing here is concentrating on, maybe not the main point, but one of the key things that we learned. Which letters does lam assimilate into and which ones does it not assimilate into? So al-fajr, fa is pronounced with the lips. It's too far away from the place where lam is pronounced, and so we pronounce both of them distinctly. Al-fajru. Whereas dha, yes, please go ahead, ask a question. Whereas dha is pronounced with your tongue very close to lam, and so we say al-dhuhru. We don't pronounce the lam. Ayn is pronounced from the throat, and so it is far away. We go al-asru. Mim and ayn as well are far away, so that we have to pronounce that instead of the lam. Okay, thank you for checking. Go ahead. What was your question?
So my daughter the other day, when she was listening to one of our classes, and we brought up, I believe it was madrasa and mudarris, and you talked about the root words and how they're all pretty much intertwined, if you will.
Yeah.
today when we were studying and she was next to me, she goes, she was trying to read one of the words and it was actually tifah and she got confused with muftah. But she's like, is it the same root structure thing, even though they don't have anything to do with one another?
It often is. As for you're talking about apple and open
In key.
and
Yes, muftah.
because yes, because fataha. Okay, let me get my little pen out here. Okay, so if you go miftah, okay, what's the root word? Every Arabic word can be traced back to a root. Most of those roots are 3 letters long. Whoa, I'm just all over the place. Fa, ta, ha. Okay, so this root word signifies opening, right? Things that have to do with being open. Allah is al-fattah, right? So this is a certain pattern that we subject this root to until we get what this is called ism mubalagha, which is something we'll get to later. Whereas the adjective maftuh literally means opened, right? Like it's like a past participle, the object of a verb, something that is opened. Something that opens, like we've learned this so far, fatih, which is a name, the opener, right? Somebody who opens something, fatih, on the pattern of fa'il, talib, waqif, jalis. What else? We can do a bunch of stuff with it. We can, yes, so miftah, ism ala. This is all stuff that's going to come, inshallah. How to take one root, which is 3 letters long, and manipulate it to get all of these different words that exist on regular patterns. So miftah on the pattern of mif'al is used for an instrument, okay? So like, what are other examples? Like miq'ad, or there's a bunch and we will get to them, where you take this, you're taking the root, and this particular pattern has to do with an instrument that does that work. So if fataha means to open, then something on the pattern of mif'al is going to do the job of opening, which is a key, right? Miftah. But all of that, we will learn those patterns. This is part of morphology, how to manipulate one root in order to get many words. It's really fun because it lets you learn a lot of Arabic words just from learning the root word. So we will, inshallah, we will definitely get there. Once we start to get into verbs and understanding how verbs are structured, we'll start to learn some of these patterns.
So the apple is just random. The other ones make sense. They kind of go into a...
I won't say that it's random. I'll say that I need to go back and look at that one.
Gotcha.
Because tufah would seem to be on that, from that root, but I don't recall anything off the top of my head. But I'll look it up. I'll look it up and let you know.
Inshallah. Jazakallah.
Yes, very good, very good. So we do have the ayah. وَعَلَى الَّذِينَ هَادُوا حَرَّمْنَا كُلَّ ذِي ظُفُرٍ. In which case, dhufr is not a fingernail, but it's a type of, it's like a cloven hoof. It's a type of hoof, right? So it's kind of like the fingernail for an animal. Dhufr in that particular. An'am, very good. Yes, Surah An'am, very good. You were very close. Good, excellent. So that brings us to the end of this exercise, and that means that we get to move on to something new and fun and exciting, which is the genitive case. The genitive case. Okay. We learned before, let's review a little bit to put this in its proper context. We learned that, it's looking like my video is kind of slowing down as my connection up here. We learned that the Jumla Ismiya has 2 parts to it. The subject and the predicate, the mubtada and the khabar, okay? We learned that both of those types of words, both the subject and the predicate, existed in a particular grammatical case that was called marfu'. In English, it is called the nominative case. This case in Arabic is represented by a dhamma, okay? Every single sentence that we were making up until now had dhammas at the end, whether it was one of them or two of them as part of a tanween. Al-masjidu ba'idun. Al-masjidu maftuhun. Hada masjidun. Everything was dhamma, dhamma, dhamma. Why? Because this type of sentence, both the subject and the predicate are always going to be in this grammatical case, okay? We use this grammatical case, the nominative case called marfu' in Arabic, to talk about what someone or something is, right? If we're translating these sentences into English, the masjid is nearby. The masjid is far away. The house is large, right? All statements that have to do with this is that. Or he or she, the student, is tall, right? All is statements. So anything that are these type of statements or declarations in Arabic are going to be marfu' in the nominative case. Both the subject, the mubtada, and the khabar. Okay, very good. There are other cases for other types of words and concepts and relationships, and they're represented by other harakat. Today we're going to learn the genitive case. And it looks like, oops, I forgot to. Just pardon me, I need to just correct this for a second. This is the genitive case, which is known in Arabic as Majroor. Majroor. Okay? This word Majroor literally means something that is dragged on the ground. Why do they call this case Majroor? Because it's represented by the kasra, which is on the bottom of the word, and not like the fatha and the dhamma that's on the top of the word. What's the idea behind the genitive case? The genitive case doesn't talk about declarations so much, is statements so much, as it talks about the relationships between words, especially the relationships between nouns. What types of relationships are we talking about? Usually we're talking about possession, time, and place, right? So the student's pen, the teacher's desk is an example of possession. For time, afternoon, or after dhuhr, or before fajr, right? And then place, for example, over the desk or on top of the desk, underneath the couch, to the side of the door, right? Inside the box. All these sorts of words establish relationships of possession, time, or place. So we're going to be using the genitive case in Arabic called Majroor to be talking about these types of relationships. Okay, the sign of it, as we said, is the kasra. So whenever we're dealing with these types of things we're trying to get across, we're going to be seeing the kasra. And let's take a look at how these sorts of things are going to be constructed. What's the formula? Okay, we said way back in the beginning that there were three types of words in Arabic. The first was ism, which is nouns plus, basically, nouns plus some other things that we don't usually consider as nouns. Fi'l, which is verbs, and harf, which can be either an article or a preposition. The formula for talking about time and place, for using the genitive case, is to use a harf. We're going from right to left here. To use a harf, and then after it, you're going to have your normal noun in the genitive case. Okay? Okay, that's very theoretical. What are you talking about? First, let's learn two prepositions and we'll see them in action. Today we will be learning ala, which means on or on top of, and we will be learning fi, which means in or inside. Footnote: prepositions in Arabic are more flexible than prepositions in English. Ala and fi have multiple meanings, and their meanings are not limited to these things. But in everyday speech, especially today, these are the meanings that most people mean. So if you use ala, you're usually talking about something on top of something else. And if you use fi, you're usually talking about something inside or in something else. Now we have an example. Let's see this in action. Our sample sentence, al-talibu fil bayti. Oh yeah, here we go. So this is a jumla ismiya, just like we've been learning. It has a mubtada and a khabar. But this khabar is different from the khabars that you've seen before. It's made up of not one word, but two words. And one of those words is a preposition, and so it is going to affect the final vowel marking on our noun al-bayt. Instead of al-talibu fil baytu, no, fi has come into the picture, and it has an impact on the word that comes after it. So we have al-talibu fil bayti. Fil bayti. Literally, the student is in the house or is inside the house. Our formula, which is only talking about a different type of khabar here. Our mubtada has stayed the same, but our khabar has changed. Now, instead of just an ism, we're using a preposition, a harf, and then an ism after it. Because this ism is after a preposition, its grammar is going to change. It's no longer showing the dhamma. It's no longer in the nominative case. It's now in the genitive case. We're talking about the relationship of place in this example. And so we have to have a kasra instead of al-baytu. We have al-bayti. Does anybody have any questions about this basic concept?
So if I'm getting this correctly, it's changing it from saying the house to his house, specifically the person who came, the preposition's house, right?
Yes, fil bayt literally means in the house, okay? So remember what we learned before, how alif lam made something definite or indefinite, okay? So in this particular case, it is definite. We are talking about one specific house. Whose house it is, we don't know. We can't tell without context, because this particular fi is talking about location and not necessarily possession, right?
So not a generic house, a specific house, and the student is in that specific house. We just don't know what the relationship to the student to the house is. It's just a specific house, not a general house.
Exactly. If we wanted to, and we'll talk about this later, but these are the most common examples, we could say fi baytin. We don't have to have alif lam on this last word here. That would mean the student is in a house. We don't know which one, right? That's possible. We could have done that. But that's a rarer usage than to say the student is in the house. In the context of a conversation, you would know which house you're talking about. You walk up to the door, you say, hey, where's the student? Said, oh, the student's in the house. And by context, you understand which house you're talking about. At-talibu fil bayti. And notice how that's a good question, because it also shows us that if we do have alif lam, we have to stick to our rules. We can only have one kasra at the end of the word if it has alif lam. Whereas if we had said fi baytin, the student is in a house, then the alif lam disappears and we have to add the tanween, the appropriate tanween on the end. Good. Question, is it just the haraka of the noun in the khabar that is impacted, not the harf? Okay. So when it comes to huruf, okay, these types of prepositions, some of them, most of them are mabni. Most of them do not decline for grammar. Most of them do not show grammar. Okay, so fi is never going to change. It's never going to be fu or fa, right? Showing any sort of different grammatical case. It is fixed. Same with ala, the second example we've learned. There are a few prepositions that can reflect changes of grammar, but we'll get to those later. So the short answer to your question is usually the preposition is not affected by any grammatical thing. It doesn't demonstrate grammar in the first place. It is mabniyun, it is fixed. Whereas nouns, as we learned, nouns demonstrate changes in grammar. And so the noun is always going to be impacted by what's going on. Either if it's just only the noun as the predicate, like the khabar, then it's going to manifest or demonstrate the dhamma because it's in the nominative case, because it's marfu'. If it's after a preposition, it's going to demonstrate the genitive case, the majroor with a kasra, right? So yes, so nouns will always demonstrate, except for a few exceptions. We'll talk about the exceptions later. And the prepositions will almost never demonstrate grammar. Good, very good question. Okay, let's see an example of ala. Al-kitabu, the book, ala sariri. Oops, and this is a slight is a typo on my error. So al-kitabu, the book, ala is on as-sariri. Whoops. Oh. There we go. Should be just one kasra there. Oh, I've got a lot of kasras hiding out. And I'm not sure how to get them to go away. I can mess with it later. Sariri. I can mess with it later. You guys get the point. Al-kitabu ala sariri. The book is on the bed. Right? Ala is a preposition. It doesn't change. It's fixed. It's mabniyun. But it does affect what comes after. Because we have the preposition, we're talking about a relationship of place. As-sariru becomes as-sariri. And that is exactly what we're talking about today. Let's go to the book and we'll work on some exercises and learn some new vocab. Question, can the mubtada be implied and not explicitly stated? Where is the student? The student is in the house. Yes, of course, always. Definitely. In fact, in spoken, or we should say in common speech, that's the default. But however, we need to learn the full forms in complete sentences to appreciate the grammatical rules. And then after that, you can delete things all the time, as most people do when they get more fluent in a language. You would know it was a jumla ismiya by the grammar, right? So if somebody said fil bayti, the mahdhuf, the part that's deleted from the sentence is at-talibu fil bayti. You assume that the thing that you asked about is going to be the subject of the response, right? So if I say ayna talibu, like where is the student? We're learning that word today too, a new question word meaning where. I said fil bayt, it's assumed that the thing that you were just talking about, the closest thing that you were talking about, is the subject of the following sentence. Good. So let's have Masarrat, can you please read for us this first example here?
البيت في البيت.
Excellent. Someone from the Shahada family, can you do the next one?
Help if I'm muted. Al-masjid fi al-masjidu. Or no. Or al-masjidu fi al-masjid.
Fil masjidi.
Fil masjidi.
Excellent. Very good. And that's a really good point, actually, that we are, I didn't even think to mention, is that how are we going to connect be and the word that comes after it? Okay, because it is a hamzatul wasl. This is a hamzatul wasl. The ya is going to skip over it and go right to the lam. Okay, fil masjidi. Whereas in other examples, such as this one down here, the last one, if we have a sun letter, which we do here, it's going to skip 2 letters and jump over to the scene, which I just kind of gave away the answer for that one. So someone else from the Shahada family, can you do al-maktabu?
المكتب على المكتب.
Excellent, very good. On the desk, ala al-maktabi. Good. Someone from the Sayyid family, our last example right here in part A.
Go ahead. Go easy.
As-sariri.
Good.
Al-sariri.
Excellent, mashallah. Exactly what we're looking for. So listen to how she's, first of all, she said sariri, and she skipped all the way from the last letter of ala right to the scene, because it's a sun letter. Ala sariri, on the bed. Good. Brother Muhsin, can you continue for us?
Aina Muhammadun.
Okay, very good. Aina means
Aina.
where? Okay, so this is a new question word that we learned today. It means where.
Aina.
No.
That's
Aina.
significant because prepositions often talk about place. And so now we need to have a question word in order to ask about place so that we can answer questions about place. And I will take the opportunity, no embarrassment when it comes to pronunciation at all, because we're all here to learn. Brother Muhsin did a very, very common thing that a lot of people do, which is he substituted an ayn for the hamza. You heard him say ayna Muhammadun. This is a very, very common thing in tajweed, a very common mistake. Why? Because the ayn and the hamza are both pronounced in the same place. And the ayn is more difficult than the hamza. And so whenever we learn ayn, every single person who I think has ever learned Arabic, once they finally learn ayn and can pronounce it correctly, they start putting that ayn everywhere, even on the hamza, right? Because it took a long time to be able to pronounce that ayn correctly. So something to be, actually I had just a Quran student this morning after Fajr with the same exact thing. So ayna, you hear how the hamza is a ayna, as opposed to ayna. Very good. Ayna Muhammadun. And then, Brother Muhsin, could you answer the question too?
Sure. هو في غرفتي.
Excellent work. Good job. So they threw a couple things at you right here. They gave you a vocab word. Okay, let me just scroll down a little bit here and I'll write the vocab words so that anybody who wants to screenshot can screenshot. Al-ghurfa. Al-ghurfa means a room. Oops, in Arabic. Okay, it means a room. So because it's alif lam here, al-ghurfatu means the room. We don't know by this word alone which room he's in, but we can tell from the picture that he's probably in his room, right? If somebody says, oh, he's in the room, right? Colloquially, that can mean something that is more specific. We also have here huwa. Huwa. which is one of our subject pronouns. So just like in English, how we have he, she, I, you, we, they, these are subject pronouns. We have the same pronouns in Arabic, and so they gave you a subject pronoun. He means who. Excuse me, huwa means he. So qul huwa Allahu ahad. Say he, Allah, huwa Allahu ahadun is unique. Jumla ismi. Huwa Allahu ahadun. So he had a question. We posed the question, Aina Muhammadun? Where is Muhammad? And the answer, Huwa, he, fil ghurfati. This is a jumla ismiya. Huwa is the mubtada. Fil ghurfa is the khabar. Because we have fi, al ghurfatu becomes al ghurfati because it is majroor. Excellent work. Good job. Let's see. Working our way back to Sister Masarrat. Can you please do the next question and answer?
وأين ياسر هو في الحمام.
Excellent. Great job. Okay, so we have our new vocab word, al-hammam, which is the bathroom. Or if you're Canadian, the washroom. I'm not sure what they call it in the UK. The water closet? In the US, we say the bathroom. Aina Yasir. Wa aina ya. And where is Yasir? Where is he? Huwa, he, fil hammam, is in the bathroom. Excellent. Someone from the Shahada family. Next one.
I'm sorry, if you don't mind me asking a quick question.
Of course not.
Isn't the bathroom hammam, but hammami, when you add the E, doesn't that make it my bathroom?
Oh, good, good, good. I'm glad you asked that. With just a kasra, no. If we added an entire ya, that would make it hammami, would make it mine. We'll get there. That has to do with possessive attached pronouns.
Because I know, like with the masculine and feminine, there's always just a variation of one letter to change it. So that threw me off because I was like, hammami to me means mine.
No.
Mine.
If you said hammami, you could not put alif lam before it.
Ah.
Right? So
got you. That's what makes it the generic bathroom, not my personal possession.
That's right.
So I wouldn't say the bathroom, I would say my bathroom.
Exactly. This is the difference here. Right? So we have al-hamami, the bathroom, hamami, with a ya, not a kasra, my bathroom. And we will get there, I think, fairly soon in a couple lessons, inshallah, that comes up. Good. So go ahead while we're with you.
وإن آمنة هي في المطبخ.
Okay, good. So وأين آمنة, and where is Amina, feminine name? We have a new vocab word. Al-matbakh is the kitchen. For those of you interested in morphology, ba, ba, kha is a root that means to cook. Okay? And so we have al-matbakh is the place of cooking. Okay, we'll get to that before too long, inshallah. And we have here a new subject pronoun, which means she. Whereas previously we were only talking about huwa. Now we're talking also about hiya, she, hiya, fil matbakhi. Normally it would be al matbakhu with dhamma, marfu', but because it comes after fi, it's fil matbakhi, in the kitchen, majroor. Excellent work. Okay, and we'll have the Sayyid family finish off the last two for us, and that might be all the time we have. We'll see what comes next, inshallah.
أين الكتاب؟ هو على المكتب.
Excellent. Where is the book? It is. What we've learned something new about subject pronouns in Arabic is that huwa and hiya can also be used for it. There is no independent subject pronoun for it like there is in English. Right? So we have huwa and hiya, and that's all we got to work with. Okay? Huwa, in this case, it's because we're talking about a book, ala al-maktabi. And there's a whole long discussion about how do you tell whether nouns are feminine or masculine. That's for another day, inshallah. Huwa ala al-maktabi. It is on the desk. Very good. And then Sister Syra, can you finish us off here?
Wa aina sa'atu
Great.
hiya ala sariri.
Excellent work. MashaAllah. So as-sa'atu is a wristwatch. It could be a clock as well, but here it's a wristwatch. Wa ayna as-sa'atu. Listen to how she made that nice assimilation right to the scene. And then she did it again in the answer. Hiya, it, ala sariri, is on the bed. So we see how some nouns can be feminine, like a watch, and some nouns can be masculine, such as a book. And as I said, that's a longer subject, inshallah. We will get to later. Does everybody who needs to take a screenshot, take a screenshot so you have the vocab. Does anybody need me to keep this up for any longer, or can I move the screen? Yes, very good. So he's asking about fa, the letter. Okay, so fa as a letter is a different harf than fi. Okay, fi is composed of two letters, fa with a kasra and ya, which means in, and among other things. And fa with a fatha is a connecting article that can be attached to both nouns and verbs to show consequence. It's like, and so something happened, like immediately after. They call it ta'qib. It happens right after. Whereas, as you said, thumma is used for something that's further in the future, like in Surah At-Takathur, right? We have thumma, means that later on, right? That's true. Very good. These are called conjunctions. So wow, fa, thumma, those are all conjunctions, and we'll talk about them. Right now, they've only taught us one conjunction, which is wa, which means and. But there are others. Like fa, you could probably translate as so. Thumma, maybe then, right? We'll talk about that in due time, but it's a good question. That's a good question. So short answer, no, it's not the same as speak. Completely different. Okay, I'm going to scroll down here. Okay, perfect, good. So we have finished the lesson, and that's all the time we have. For homework, try to give these a shot. Then just the very next exercise, we'll go over them together for the following class, inshallah. Try 1 through 11. They're going to ask you questions just like the questions that you just said, and you can provide responses in full sentences. Ain al-kitab. And you have freedom. You can say it's on the bed. You can say it's on the desk, whatever you want to say. Aina Muhammadun. You can get creative. You can be funny. And yes, thank you very much. Sister Masarrat points out that the word for watch, as-sa'a, is the same for the hour. Right? So we call the watch because it measures the hour. As-sa'a, which is why in the Quran we have also the hour, capital T, capital H, meaning the day of judgment. Yasalunaka ani sa'a. Right? They ask you about the hour. Yes, literally in Arabic it means any hour, right? If you say, when are you going to come? Ba'd sa'a, you say after 1 hour. Or thalathati sa'at, you say 3 hours. But if you say as-sa'a in a particular context like it's in the Quran, then they mean not just any hour, they mean the hour, meaning the last hour, the final hour, which is the day of judgment. May Allah preserve us and protect us and make us successful on the day of judgment. Anybody, final questions, thoughts, concerns before we dismiss? Vocab review strategies. One of the most important things that you can do. Okay, here's how the human mind works. The human mind learns better with repetition. I want to say it's more about frequency than it is about duration. So an hour of study once a day is worse than 5 minutes of study however many times a day that equals an hour. It's just divided by 5. 30 times a day, or you know what I'm saying, right? So 12 times a day. Thank you. So the math wasn't coming to me, right? So when it comes to vocab and language and things like that, smaller chunks frequently throughout the day. Tie it to something that you're already doing. All right. So prayer. If you have a little notebook or a word list with you, every time you pray, if you have time, bust out your vocab list, run through them one time. That's a big benefit. If you can get through your vocab list 3, 4, 5 times a day, you're cruising, and it will be a lot easier for you. Also, to try to involve as many senses as possible when you're learning new words. So if you learn the word sarir, if you just look at the letters of sarir, it's a lot different than if you go and you touch the bed and you say sarir when you touch the bed, right? Especially a lot of these things that we're learning that are household objects, say kitab, kitab. And you hold it up and you touch it and you think about it. The more senses you're able to involve, the stronger the memory is going to be, and the longer the memory is going to last. The last tip I had, what was it? Oh yeah, there's a difference between recognition and recall. Okay, so recognition is the ability to see something and recognize and know what it means. Recall is the ability to not see anything and just to think of something, to recall it from nowhere, right? Recall is a higher level act of memory than recognition. So if you're not at the level of recall, the first thing to do is to see the word or see the object and recognize it. Yes, that word means, like you look at the Arabic word, that means bed. You go into the bedroom, you see the bed, so that is a sarir. Those are two different things, right? The first example, you're recognizing. You see the word sarir and you've recognized it. The second example, you don't have any clues as far as the letters. So you're recalling it from nowhere, right? So work at those two levels. Recognition first, and then once you've got recognition, bump it up to recall, and it will lodge in your long-term memory, inshallah. Human memory is a fascinating thing. But I don't want to take up any more of your time. It's already been 50 minutes. Any other final questions? Okay, you all are doing a fantastic job. Thank you very much for your participation. Ameen wa iyakum, and may Allah benefit us by this knowledge. And I'll see you soon, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.